Right then, let's get to it. I'm Ego Pharmacon, but you guys can call me Ego, or Pharmacon, or just Luke. Really, you can call me anything you want to. I'm just here to share some cool shit with anyone who's interested, really. So yeah, I wanted to make a little series on some games that I think are special enough to comment about, and I'm leaving my definition of special open to interpretation here for a moment. And no doubt over time I'll play some games that I've had recommended that I think are absolute dog shite. But anyways, on with the show. So for the first episode, I really wanted to show you guys a game I've played pretty much since it was released alongside the original Xbox. The absolute masterpiece that is Halo Combat Evolved. I originally wanted to have all the gameplay from the classic, but the game has aged an awful lot in the past 25 years or so. The 4 to 3 aspect ratio, the audio quality, the feel of the gameplay, it's rough to say the least. Now don't get me wrong, the game's still amazing and it's definitely still a classic. But with 343 Industries, Saber Interactive and Certain Affinity making the anniversary version of the game 10 years on, it's a much more satisfying way to play the game. So I decided to show some original gameplay mixed in with the remake and the classic mode you can switch between. I just couldn't help myself. So if the whole 4 to 3 ratio pisses you off, maybe this video isn't going to be for you. Anyways, with that little intro out of the way, on with the show. So starting off, I wanted to make a point that Halo, regardless of its current reputation, is still considered one of Xbox's flagship games. It had massive success over the years with the original Bungie games, and as a result of that, it's went down in gaming history. Now a lot of people talk shit on 343, the company who took over Halo when Bungie cut ties with it, and rightly so. They've unarguably had a very rocky road over the years. Hell, 343, well, Halo Studios, whatever they call themselves now, has been responsible for the Halo series for more time now than Bungie had with the title originally. But with that said, it's not to say Bungie didn't have plenty of development problems and some issues amongst staff members and Microsoft themselves really. So Bungie started their development on the title way back in '97, 4 years before release. It evolved massively over the years, going from an RTS to third person, then finally settling as the first person shooter we know today. The reason for the shift to the first person shooter genre is apparently accredited to Microsoft's acquisition of the studio back in 2000. Then, as you know, in 2001 it launched alongside the console as an Xbox exclusive. So I did want to jump right into commenting on all the good stuff like the story, gameplay and music, but I think I should probably get the controversy side out of the way first. So with Bungie, they had an unrealistic deadline apparently. They had to cut content and had some backlash due to their story choice of including religious zealots and having some similarities drawn from both Christianity and Islam. One of the more memorable issues was that they decided to change the character Dervish to the Arbiter in Halo 2 to avoid any potential marketing concerns regarding a perceived American versus Muslim message. Another hilariously bad taste issue from one of the more recent times was when the DHS, for my non-Yank people, that's the Department of Homeland Security, apparently used an image from Halo with the tagline, "Destroy the Flood, join ICE." Here's that image now. So there's plenty of parallels drawn from Halo and the Bible, particularly the main character's name and service tag number being Spartan John 117. You've got John 117 and Revelation 117. He's essentially the saviour of humanity due to his feats throughout the series. So it's had a fair bit of attention in the earlier days due to the similarities pulled from several religions. There's plenty of videos out there that dive deeper into this, looking at breaking down the symbolism and meanings. I'm not going to go any deeper into this as there's just so much to talk about in general without getting too focused on any specific topic. Some more controversy came at the end of Bungie and Microsoft's relationship, when Bungie employees were apparently quoted saying that the relationship ended due to certain artistic and creative differences. With Microsoft having strict control over the direction of the series, with the two companies unhappy, it was agreed that Bungie would develop 3 games before going independent basically. Those games being Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach and Halo 3. After that, Microsoft held on to the IP and Bungie going off on their own for a time. At that point, 343 was built to take over the series and to guide the direction of the games and extended media under Microsoft. So the final big bit of controversy I'll mention is to do with one of the two main music composers involved with the series. That's Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore, both absolute music legends in my book. But Marty has found himself in the spotlight plenty of times over the years, from hot political takes to arguing with fans on social media. He's become more involved in politics as well over the years, with running for office or something out where he lives. I tend not to get too involved in foreign politics too much, as I've got plenty to brush up on in regards to my own country. So if I've used the wrong terminology, you'll have to forgive me. I'm not too clued up. But regardless, that man helped make some of the best gaming soundtracks ever to bless my ears. He's also had recent court cases against his former employer Bungie, with the wrongful termination case, which the court found in his favour in 2015, and his later case of 2021 ended with him being found in contempt of court for illegally distributing music which had belonged to Bungie. Then another long-running case involving himself, Salvatore, and Microsoft regarding royalties from their music made for Halo, though this case was settled amicably, quoted, out of court in 2022. Again, there's plenty of videos out there diving deeper into this guy's personal life and whatnot, but I'm not here for any of that. I just appreciate him for the music he's made as an artist. But if you do want to go down the rabbit holes, there's plenty out there to pick from. So yeah, this game, the series as a whole has had its share of problems in the spotlight. But yeah, it is what it is. Moving on. So the story has evolved massively over the years, with some pretty big retcons taking place once 343 had taken over the series. But for the most part, I'll try and focus on just keeping the story details in the Bungie era for now. So there's a lot to unpack at the beginning of the game. We see a mysterious ring world off in the distance, dwarfed by a much larger planet, a spaceship, some humans talking about whether we've lost whatever was chasing them through slip space, and an AI. There's a fair bit in the opening scenes. The main enemies are quickly introduced to us on our ship as it falls under attack, and Big Captain Keyes gives the order to give them a warm welcome. After our badass call to arms sequence, we meet up with our main protagonist of the series, the one, the only Spartan John 117, the Master Chief. We wake up from Crow and jump through the game's short tutorial, just a quick one though. Even in the Bungie era, Microsoft wanted extended lore, more marketing, more money. Hey, makes sense, right? So there was a novel released, Halo The Fall of Reach, that was released a month before the game, that basically gives a massive amount of backstory and important lore leading up to the events of the game. Now don't get me wrong, the game is absolutely fine on its own. You can build a decent understanding of the story from just playing the games, but man, the books are fucking brilliant for the most part. Fall of Reach was amazing, and it really does its job well. Now I didn't read that when it was first released, mainly due to me being bloody 5 years old, but once I did, man, I was hooked on the lore. Anyways, so once we've completed the tutorial, we move through the ship to meet Keyes and are introduced to our very own AI. Again, there's just so much lore to cover, and since we're just focusing on this game, I'm not going to bother going into it all too much. But I will mention that she plays a massive role throughout the series and is a much bigger part of our character's overall development. But yeah, we're given a gun, a chip in our head, and off we go to abandon the ship. We fight through corridors of enemies, learning the basic controls and UI, until we reach our escape pod. Blasting off with a few survivors, we head towards the mysterious ring world, Halo. I'll just jump back in and point out here that the music fucking slaps. There's so many damn good songs throughout the entire game, and I've kind of struggled with thinking of a way to show off each piece without making a mess of the video. I'm still not too good up to scratch or any of that with this program that I'm using, and I really wanted to get the video out on time, but I will try and show off a good few of them throughout the rest of the video. Now, there might be a few silent moments throughout the video. Don't worry, nothing's wrong, I'm just leaving you guys the hell alone so you can actually appreciate the music and enjoy the video properly. So don't worry, I will be back. So guys, quickly jumping back in. I just wanted to apologise as I've had some audio issues while recording the video. My microphone isn't the best, so it's picked up a lot of background noise and whatnot. Now, I did go through the video in the software, trying to use their tools to artificially remove the breathing sounds, the mouse clicks and whatnot, but unfortunately they are still there, and as a result of me using the tools to try and fix that, Now there's some clicking, pops and stuttering throughout the video. All I can do is apologise. I'm not about to bin off the entire video, but what I can say is hopefully by the time my next one comes out, I'll have a better microphone and I'll have a better understanding of how to use the software. So yeah, if you have made it this far and you continue watching, thank you very much, I do appreciate you. Anyway, on with the video.
All right? Can you move?
So we crash land, we find everyone dead and figure we have to head further on in and look for more survivors. And what do you know, we find some, one being a Sergeant Johnson, another massively important recurring character of the original trilogy in some of the books. The rest of the mission though is pretty much the same objective a couple of times. Head here, rescue these and repeat. But the level's a good way to get you used to one of the main vehicles of the series, that being the Warthog. And the visuals here, man, even in the original, are just pretty damn good. The updated graphics though, superb. So in this clip now, I just wanted to show you guys something called a terminal. Now these weren't in the original version of the game, they were added in with the anniversary version and that on the MCC. There were some in 3, but basically what they do is they just help explain certain events and give you some cool graphics to go with it. If you want to watch them, obviously you can find them on YouTube. I'm not going to be showing any of them though in this video just for time's sake. So carrying on with the mission, there's 3 groups of Marines that we need to rescue on this side of the map. Now a cool way to speed this sequence up considerably is just by simply killing them. It's a great speedrunning technique and there's plenty of videos on YouTube detailing all of the steps to complete this, but I just thought I'd mention it since it's quite a cool thing you can do. So after rescuing the final group of Marines, we radio into Foehammer to come and extract us. We then learn that Captain Keyes is being held aboard the Truth and Reconciliation, one of the Covenant ships, and that's where we're off to next.
We should move out, Lieutenant, and then we'll need your help on a rescue mission. The enemy has captured Captain Keyes and are holding him aboard one of their cruisers.
Now with this next mission set in the dark, there's a very big difference between the original and the anniversary version. I mean, you'll see in a second what I'm on about. So, there's an issue present throughout the game where the original geometry of the map doesn't match what's being displayed playing in the remastered graphics mode. This is due to the remastered graphics. The Saber 3D engine is just running on top of the original game engine, that being the Blam engine. So things can get a little weird at times with collision, lighting and whatnot. But all the gameplay mechanics seem to be there from the original. The collision issues do get frustrating at times, especially when you're lining up a shot just to end up missing completely. Now it's not really a big deal when playing on either, but when you are playing on Legendary or playing on Lasso through the anniversary version, it's absolute pain. I didn't even get any new gameplay to show off the absurdity and difficulty spike when playing on Legendary, let alone Lasso. I've done Legendary runs a good few times, especially with mates over the years, but Lasso can get the fuck gone. Never again. Truth and Reconciliation, the mission we're on now, also the Library, are some of the worst missions to run throughout the entire series. These missions are no joke. Especially since these schools that are activated do various fucky things that just make the game much more difficult. Now, when playing Lasso, almost all of these are activated together. Things from not being able to use enemy weapons, to no checkpoint respawns, you have to melee to regain shields, etc. Oh, and the fact you're playing on goddamn Legendary with all of this going on too. Legendary, all schools on. Trauma. But hey, with graphics like this, who the hell cares? But yeah, back to the mission. So, after a few firefights, we finally arrive at the enemy ship, the Truth and Reconciliation. We have a big battle amongst the enemy forces guarding it, and we head up in the grav lift to go and search for Keyes. So once we board the ship, we clear out deck after deck of enemies in search of the prisoner cells. Once we do actually locate them, we clear out that room as well, and then we release the catch on the doors, and all the prisoners are now free. So once we've rescued Big Papa Keys and the other Marines imprisoned here, we now need to head for the vehicle dock to get a ride off this ship. Now after some more fighting, we arrive to rob an alien ship to escape. Now at this point I wouldn't blame you for thinking, well, how the hell does he know how to fly that thing? It's a fair thing to point out. Well, I'll be honest, this isn't our first time fighting these guys. We've had years to learn how to use their tech. A really cool example of this is the armor shield system that the Master Chief has on his suit. It's actually built from Covenant technology, reverse engineered. Now, to be honest, these kind of details are largely found in the books, not in the games. Though at some points there are little tidbits dropped here and there throughout the games, just so you can pick up on them. Now with our escape vehicle secured, the Marines and Keys rescued, we are now off onto the next mission. So with that mission done, it's onto the Silent Cartographer. So for this mission it's pretty straightforward, find the map and done. The only problem is if you run straight for the objective, you get locked out, requiring you to find another place in the map to unlock it. Now, if you're a fan of speedruns, Halo's had a pretty cool history. There's an abundance of tricks and glitches you can use to put large chunks of time out of the game, one of which I have tried here. Unfortunately I wasn't fast enough through the door, as you'll see in a moment. Now I've got to override the controls from the other part of the map, so I'm going to go do that. So the footage you've seen throughout this video I gathered through different playthroughs on the original and the MCC version of the game. Now in this instance I decided to skip out going to the door first and all that bullshit. I just went straight for the override control panel, hit it and boom, doors open, it doesn't shut, I don't have to go to any other part of the map now, I can just go straight for the objective. So again, I've cut out a little section of the game. Now there are more intricate versions of this you can apply throughout the missions. Obviously the more technical they get, the more likely you are to actually break the scripting of the game. But hey, if it gets you them achievements, you've got to try it, man. And speaking of speedrun techniques and glitches, here's one coming up right now that I've perfected over the years. Luckily enough, I still had my overshield, so the first drop wasn't too bad, but the whole idea is you want to hit off the corner just to like push yourself further, and then you drop down and hit the overshield on your way down to restore your health, as you'll see now. A cool thing I've read about this map is that it had multiple design iterations done by Bungie employees, including art director Marcus Letter and environmental artist Paul Russell. Being one of the first maps ever made, it was originally used as a sandbox testbed from what I've seen. Director of Cinematics Joseph Staten stated that the objective was originally to be an assassination of a Covenant prophet. Now that's cut content, ladies and gentlemen, that isn't seen until 2. But at first, it was supposed to be an elite in a funny hat. But after all the changes, they settled on this to become what it is today, obviously. So after finding the map, you're told to head back up for evac, as we've got everything we need. So there's a few more enemies we need to kill before Foehammer lands. Once we do, she's clear for landing. We jump in, and now off we go to the next mission, attack on the control room. Starting attack on the control room off, we'll drop deep underground within the Halo structure itself. Now, there's a pretty cool trick coming up that I wanted to show off. I can't really explain how to do it, but the times I have used it in runs, I've taken multiple attempts at pulling it off successfully. Even with this footage now, I've probably got an hour's worth of footage of me failing. Now this is mainly due to me being absolute dog shit at games, and because there's 2 steps to this glitch as well, and both can kill you. So doing the first bit is all fine and dandy until you need to make the second drop, and then you fail. This is a very precise skip, and you'll definitely need to watch a couple of tutorials to figure it out properly. But regardless, I've done it, and now as a result, no more enemies for the rest of the mission, and again some more brilliant music coming up now. This mission on Legendary Lasso can be a bit of a pain, especially with the amount of enemies about, so luckily this helps a good bit after pulling the glitch off. So by now, if you didn't pull the glitch off, you'd already be fighting a ton of enemies on that bridge and an entire structure across the way that you'd need to fight through and work your way down. And really, on Lasso and Legendary, it's just not the one, especially when glitches like this exist, so you can just bypass it. I mean, it's so much of a help even if you're just going for the part-time achievements on this map. But again, it's up to you if you want to try and do it legitly. There are people out there that have, though honestly they've got a patience of a saint, and most of the missions throughout the Halo series where there is an exploit to use, I have used that exploit. And something very cool coming up now on the left hand side, we've actually beaten the animation of the ship flying off, and there you go, it just pops and despawns right there. So now we head on into this Banshee, we fly on over, we're already at the end of the mission. Honestly, it doesn't take too long, you can probably run this mission very easily in under 10 minutes if you utilise that glitch properly. I believe my time was something like 7 minutes if I can remember correctly, I'm not too sure off the top of my head. But regardless of what time I have got on this map, overall as long as you beat the game in under 3 hours on Legendary, you can bag yourself a nice tasty achievement for that. And I also do have the Lasso achievements, so I'm never going to be revisiting them ever again. Lasso can honestly get the fuck. It's pain. I've mentioned it a couple times now in the video. Pain.
Never been better.
So we work through the map, get to the control room, and our AI Cortana learns something quite important while connected to Halo systems. Something is being held on the ring that's dangerous enough to get the Covenant scared. Ooh. The ring was built by something called the Forerunners, and the ring was built as a fortress well. We're told we need to stop the captain from entering this specific place that he thinks is a weapon stockpile. And again, off we go. Now this mission 343 Guilty Spark and the one after is where the game took quite a bit of a shift for me as a kid. Up until this mission, I've been an unstoppable super soldier running through waves of enemies, taking names, kicking ass. Well, this is where the game turns into a horror. I mentioned before about the lighting and how the remastered graphics changes that quite a bit. Well, in this mission, it changes it a lot. So I decided to include both cinematics for the opening sequence, just so you guys can get a good understanding of what the lighting's like. I mean, as you can see now on the screen, it's a totally different feel in my opinion. The brightness, the lighting, it's just off. It really doesn't feel right, and that's reflected by the fans' opinions online as well. I mean, I've read countless comments slating the lighting choices of 343 Guilty Spark and the library specifically. But yeah, on with the mission. So we head towards the facility to find out what's went wrong exactly. We're met with enemies running for their lives at the entrance. So good old Master Chief, being the Spartan that he is, we decide to head deeper in. We come across a Marine who's clearly lost his mind, because let's be real, anyone who's read the books knows that these guys can kill you with a slap or a kick easily enough. So no one in their right minds would do this. Anyways, we do the right thing and put a stop to all that nonsense. And nonsense stopped. And now that we've finally caught up with Captain Keyes and his crew, we can finally find out what the hell's going on here. I will say though, I like the little details even in the original games. So then you just saw Master Chief shake his head at the helmet. It's just his connection to humanity. Over the years he's lost countless people throughout these wars, and even now you can still see that he cares. I mean, even in Halo Infinite, the latest game, I know that's going to date this video, but in Halo Infinite at the very beginning of the game, you see him floating through a debris field basically of dead bodies. When he comes across a Marine, he's ever so gentle to move him out of the way and to retrieve his weapon for himself. And it shows and it sticks through the entire series, the games, the books, hell, even the short films that they've done. I honestly really do think Bungie done a terrific job of creating a character with the Master Chief. They've wrote him so well over the years, and to be honest, 343 as well have continued his legacy. I mean, the books, the games that they've had released, they have shown arguably more of his actual human side rather than just the super soldier that we see in the trilogy. But now anyways, back to the mission. We have a fairly long cutscene. the build up is almost complete and it's time to meet our new enemy type, the Flood. And since I've done multiple playthroughs of the game on the Xbox original and the MCC version of it, I decided I'd throw in both cutscenes just as a comparison so you can see how truly far we've came in graphics. Now that the cutscene's done, we're on with the rest of the mission. So, the rest of the mission is just to survive and get the hell out of here. We need to head on out back up to the top for extraction. Obviously that means fighting through waves and waves now of our new enemy type, the Flood. Now as a kid this mission was fucking horrifying because they just come at you mercilessly from everywhere that they're hiding. The original route that you took to get into the facility is now blocked, so that means an alternate route needs to be taken. And it's just a brutal fight up to the top. Again, there's little strategies you can use doing lasso runs and whatnot involving invisibility cloak, but yeah, it's just a mess. I just wanted to point out again how truly amazing the soundtrack is for this game. My god, listen to it. Transitions into the next piece here when the action starts picking up. My god, it's fantastic.
This is Echo 419. Chief, is that you? I lost your signal when you disappeared inside the structure. What's going on down there?
So upon fighting our way through hordes and hordes of horrible monsters, figuring out the maze that is 343 Guilty Spark, we are now at the exit again. And what do you know, we've met up with some Marines that managed to survive as well. Their little backstory is they actually managed to get out of the facility. They went to the extraction point but got ambushed by these monsters, so they headed back. So, yeah, we head through the swamps to reach this mysterious Forerunner building called out by Foehammer as the new extraction point. And here we are introduced to 343 Guilty Spark, who urges us to come with him to help fix the issue of the Flood outbreak. Foehammer loses contact with us as we're teleported away. No Cortana, no support, shit out of luck, just me and the blue box. And at this point we've only got one more enemy variant of the Flood left to show in the next mission. Other than the Flood carrier form coming up, we've met all of the enemy types. Grunts being the little gas bags that run around screaming, then the jackals with their portable shields, the elites with their full body energy shields, and finally hunters being the big wormy bastards with the cannon on their arms. That's all of the Covenant enemy types. Then you've got the infection form of the Flood, which is the little tentacle guys, combat forms being the ones that come and give you a good wallop, and the carrier forms being the big bags filled with little popcorn guys, and finally an enemy type we'll come across in a few levels, the Sentinels being Forerunner. Now, the library, the peak of Halo's horror in my opinion. And it is an opinion shared by countless fans as well, to be honest. But anyways, the lighting plays such a massive part in this mission as well, in terms of atmosphere, immersion, etc. The remastered graphics really do take a lot away from the horror feeling, which is a shame, as a lot of the fans from the original had some criticisms when this came out, and I still don't blame them. While I do think the graphics and fidelity are a nice touch, I do think the lighting is a massive shit on the original vibe and design of the mission. But on the other hand, as you can see, you really can't see much at all without the flashlight active in the original. If I'd have to pick which one I'd prefer to play forever and ever and ever, I'd probably have to choose the original. It's just the whole vibe, the unsettling music, the darkness. So yeah, we fight through floor and floor of Flood enemy types to reach the top. Once we're there, that's the mission done, thank God. But as you just saw then, we got an achievement. Now, on the original Xbox, achievements weren't a thing that came in the 360 era. So when MCC and the remastered, well, anniversary edition of Halo CE came out, it included a bunch of achievements that you could earn as well. So every tryhard fan like myself went balls deep trying to get them. The mission was originally criticised as just being a repetitive task over and over again, That point I do agree with, because I mean, every door you come to, you have to stop, defend, and on Lasso or Legendary, things get hectic. Your ammo is basically cut in half from what I remember. It's just not a fun experience, so there was plenty of little things you could do to exploit the game, like using grenade jumps to jump through doors earlier than you're supposed to, skipping out fights obviously as a result of that. But yeah, really this was one of the sluggiest missions I've played on Lasso. Legendary, not too bad, you can do it quite well to be honest, using the weapons provided, but as soon as you start using skulls, oof, it's done. But there was a fantastic exploit used back today. Now I can't remember if it's still working or whatnot, as I just didn't try it while recording, and I didn't actually use that exploit during my run. But it was that you could get infinite ammo, I believe, by doing a reload glitch. Now that would have helped massively at the time if I knew about it, but unfortunately some things just fall through the net. Unless you've got hours and hours upon hours to get onto YouTube, searching every nook and cranny for tips, tricks and guides, there are going to be some exploits and tips that you do miss out on. And unfortunately, you know, it's time wasted and whatnot, but hey, as long as you get those achievements. So we're at the end of the mission. We can now retrieve the index on order by 343 Guilty Spark. So he unlocks that for us after we've cleared all the flood out. Boom, put that in our pocket. Nope. That's his. Oh, look at the little flood infection form as well. That's one of the cool parts about having your cutscenes rendered real time, I believe, is the terminology. Again, I'm not a game developer, but from what I read when I was doing my research, most of the cutscenes throughout the entire Halo franchise are rendered live. So, to my understanding, if you've left an enemy alive or something, they can come into the frame during the cutscene, which is quite cool. Same as your weapons in the later games and whatnot, whatever you have in your hands is included in the cutscene, which is quite a nice touch. But yeah, we're now on to the third from last mission, called Two Betrayals. There's a lot to unpack again with the opening cutscene. We learn that Halo is in fact a weapon, a way to kill off anything capable of hosting the flood essentially and feeding it. Cortana is very pissed off now that we've been running around gallivanting with 343, doing whatever he asked of us. 343 seems very confused now that we're unable and unwilling to help him kill the universe. Can you imagine that? Huh. Now there is a reason for this, and it's explained more in the books and later games, but I'm not going to get into it here. Anyway, now taking a deeper look at the writing behind it all, this kind of comes down to the direction Bungie had originally for the story in terms of what humanity plays in it and their connection to the Forerunners. When 343 came, they started to change things up a bit, and a lot of the lore got changed up. Now there are some discrepancies between the original gameplay and what was shown in Halo 3's terminals. The original idea was to have humanity be the direct descendants of the Forerunners, I believe, but obviously that's all changed now with 343. From what I've read online, it was never set in stone where humanity was supposed to lie in Bungie's version of Halo and the story, but 343 came in and made a clear distinction then with their own terminals and obviously with their future games. The humans are in fact not a descendant of the Forerunners, they are totally different species altogether. The Forerunners didn't make humans or anything like that, so yeah, things did get shifted around quite a bit, but the later games, the books, etc., they have straightened it out relatively well with date changes in the original books and whatnot. But at first it was a bit of a concern with the fans because really we didn't know where the direction was going. But yeah, just wanted to add in here quickly that I just pulled off a pretty nice glitch back up there at the control panel. Essentially all you gotta do is click it, wait for it to stop moving the animation and then click it again. If executed properly, you end up despawning all of the enemies outside of this doorway here that you can see now. This is extremely helpful if you're doing a lasso run or playing a legendary. Just again, you don't have to kill the enemies. So what you do is you run down, you grab the Banshee, you come back up, you hit that button again, then spawn in and basically make the rest of the mission work. I'm not too sure on the technicalities and the actual words you'd use, but from what I understand is you're just hitting certain markers in the game that makes the game realise you're progressing, and without those markers you essentially soft lock the mission. But again, more brilliant music in the background here. I'm just going to carry on saying it because I am really so much of a fan of the music in these games. Like, I have grown up with the soundtracks. To me, this is Star Wars level. You can't get better than the Halo soundtrack in my opinion. So our new mission explained to us by Cortana is to use the Pillar of Autumn to destroy the ring, stopping the flood of 343 from wiping out the universe. We head off to disable 3 generators to force 343 to have to make repairs before being able to fire the ring. This whole map is just attack on the control room but backwards essentially. It was originally commented on as lazy, but honestly it works. There's a very slippery bastard in this mission as well that I've got a clip of coming on up. There he is. Look at this, absolutely atrocious. Now on the higher difficulties, this guy can really be a pain in the arse if you forget where he is. Anyways, we push through, we complete the objectives, and now we need to go and rescue Keyes again, as he has the key for the ship, and it's only him who can override the controls essentially. So yeah, Cortana explains to us that she can get us to Captain Keyes through teleporting us using Halo's network, but she does mention she should only do it once as it could damage our suit systems in regards to the shielding. So it's a bit of plot armor there as well, why we can't just teleport from the next mission to the Pillar of Autumn. They made it work. I mean, it's not brilliant writing, but hey, it works, like I said. Now at this point in the story, if you're sitting there thinking, my god, we've got to really go and rescue Keyes again, why just leave him? I totally understand that. I thought this originally when I played it. I mean, how are you some badass soldier yet you keep on getting captured? I don't know. But in the original game there wasn't much detail given about his actual character. Keyes' backstory is more there in the books, and I definitely recommend you read them because some of the characters like Johnson, Cortana, Halsey's character hasn't been introduced in this game yet, but she is obviously mentioned in the later titles. She's responsible for actually making the Spartan program and creating people like John 117. So yeah, basically what I'm getting at is, if you like the story of the games, you'll love the books. Hell, they even get some of the voice actors in to reprise their roles as the characters that they play in the games. They are brilliant. Now that's not to say they're all good. Some of the books unfortunately are quite boring, though it's few and far between honestly.
Oh, I see. The coordinate data needs to be...
But anyway, second to last mission now, and we're entering the mission Keyes. A lot has changed aboard the Truth and Reconciliation. The Flood has overtaken the ship for the most part, and the Covenant are frantically trying to keep them at bay.
Captain?
There's a whole backstory there as to why the Covenant just didn't blow their ship up to stop the Flood. It's basically because in the Covenant they believe these rings to be holy sites of their religion, and it's against their way of life to destroy any relic of the Forerunners. There's a whole lot more to it than that, though the whole explanation involves a character from Halo 2, the Arbiter, who we haven't met in this game, who was in charge of the armies chasing humans onto the ring world and the events surrounding all of that. So we drop down, fight more Covenant and Flood. Again, this stretch of mission on Legendary or above is horrible. A good way of skipping all of this section is back at spawn. There's a method of getting the Flood form that's chasing one of the grunts to follow you. And with some clever, precise jumping, we can clip straight through the wall and voila. We're next to Keyes and all of the enemies ready to spawn in. Obviously that isn't applicable in our case because we've done it the actual way you're supposed to, but yeah. We reach the grav lift that takes us back up onto the other side of the ship. Once we're up there, we continue fighting more Flood forms, elites, jackals, grunts and hunters. At the end of this fight, we wander on up to the ship's control room where we finally meet back up with Keyes.
Should be able to get into the ship's control room from here.
Though unfortunately, this isn't the happy reunion we were expecting. He's a little fucked up. So as the caring and compassionate soldier, we do what is expected. We punch a fucking hole in his face and snatch the chip out of his still warm body. The fuck?
It's done. I have the code. We should go. We
In one of the books called Halo the Flood, there's a great part describing this exact moment. It was the torture and torment the Flood was putting Keyes through when trying to break and interrogate him. So the Flood book actually tells this story, Halo Combat Evolved, through different points of view. Honestly, it's a good read, so if you did enjoy the game, I'd definitely take a look at that or the audio book. So we head off to the vehicle dock again to commandeer yet another vehicle to get out of here. This cool little skip here that I pulled off, it's one of the easier ones with not too much of a time payoff though. So I managed to drop down to the lower deck, and again now with GTA this elite out of the way, jump in, circle round until the game registers we're now ready to end the mission. The thing with these tricks is that the ones that bode well in terms of time saved are usually more difficult to execute. With that said, we're now off to the final mission though, ladies and gentlemen, the Maw, bringing us all the way back to where this game started.
This thing is falling apart.
It'll hold.
We're not gonna make it.
We'll make it.
Pull up! Pull up! You did that on purpose, didn't you?
With Chief and Cortana's little back and forth banter bit there done with, it's the start of the final mission. We start off by running to the bridge of the Pillar of Autumn, since we've got the codes from Keyes' face in the last mission. Once we arrive at the bridge, we upload Cortana to the ship. Unfortunately, 343 is already at work trying to stop us from blowing the ship up by locking us out and whatnot. As a result of his interference, we need a new plan. Cortana figures a way to still get the Autumn to blow up by targeting its reactors. She explains we just need to damage them enough. So Cortana sends us to the engine room where we need to blow 4 objectives to start a chain reaction.
Alert.
So off we go, blowing shit up again.
We can't restart the countdown. The institution reactor.
We enter the engine control room and off we go to activate the first panel to expose the weak point. A very quick 3 times more while trying not to get knocked off by the increasing number of enemies. And now we've got one final objective: escape. Following Cortana's directions, we end up at a service lift, and there's a cool little lore story here about the elite who attacks us. His name's Zuka Zamame? Something like that? I can't actually remember. Anyways, he's a Covenant Spec Ops officer who was sent to hunt the Chief down. Now in the book it's described in much greater detail by telling us things such as every active camouflaged elite has personally been sent by this guy right up until this point. I know I've mentioned the books a lot in this video, but really the amount of detail and depth they add really is astonishing. Adding all this context is just something I can really appreciate as a lore nerd. After we kill all those guys, it's off to grab a Warthog for our final run. Now it gets a little comical with how large the Autumn's made out to be here, but at the end of the day, they wanted a fun ending and they made it. Looking past the obvious oversized ship, the final run can get pretty tense, especially if you end up flipping over a few times, and with the higher difficulties you also have to worry about the enemy shooting you or tipping the Warthog, which adds to the general stress.
Wait, stop! This is where Fohammer is coming to pick us up. Hold position here.
Cortana to Echo 419. 2 Covenant Banshees are approaching on your 6. Evade. Say again, evade. I'm hit. Say that. Say that. What the hell? I can't hold. I can't hold on.
shows one longsword fighter is still docked in Launch Bay 7. If we move now, we can make it.
There we see Foehammer absolutely bin the Pelican off, which means no extraction for us. Unlucky. But Cortana does tell us there's a longsword docked and ready further down the way. Head down for the final foot slap, getting past the remaining fighting enemies between us and our escape. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, we did it, mission complete.
We're cutting it close.
I had to switch here unfortunately to the original footage because on the MCC there's a known bug that triggers 2 music tracks to run at the same time. Now it's not a massive issue, I thought the nicer audio would be better suited for the ending since I've had the remastered pretty much running all throughout the video. But oh well, it is what it is. A nice ending Easter egg is there for anyone who managed to complete the game on Legendary difficulty though. You can get yourself an extra few seconds of cinematics with Johnson saying, "Oh shit, this is it baby, hold me while hugging an elite as the ship is destroyed." Obviously, he doesn't die here as he is in the next game. I'm sure Bungie just did this as a little bit of fun and didn't really expect people to be breaking it down bloody 20 years later. Well, this really is it, Johnson, end of the game, Buddha, and what a game it has been. The original still holds up really well, even though decades old now. Can't really comment on the controls much as my Duke pad is just as old as the console itself. While in good condition, it's not going to compete against the Elite Pad 2 on any level really. Another reason why I prefer to play the original trilogy through the MCC. Then there's my preference to the audio and graphics obviously. Really the only reason I like coming back to the original are things like the lighting on certain levels and some sound effects. I did used to also say a reason was because the anniversary version was broke as fuck, being the Gearbox port, I believe. And even when the MCC launched, it was in a horrible state for bloody ages. But most of the issues that bugged me have been resolved, so really I'm not too upset about that anymore. So my conclusion is the oldie is a golder, but for myself, I'm more than happy to suffer some sound, lighting and geometry issues for the newer experience in all honesty. After all, it was a whole new company running things, and I've always got the original to go back to if I'm feeling nostalgic. And with another remake coming out later in 2026, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how 343, Halo Studios shows what they've learned from the feedback on their previous version in 2011 and later titles. I wish I included way more information and clips, but to my disappointment my Surface Pro just isn't up to the task of intense render sessions. So I've settled for what I've got, and I hope whoever's made it to the end has enjoyed the video. Some awards I'd give the game, on top of the countless it's already had over the years, are it's an oldie but a golder, and a soundtrack that slaps. Well, that's everything. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year everybody. And my next poison or cure will involve cold fluffed murder and sunshine.